I thought you said, I'm going to sit here and fuck my sister.
Flight 815 crash landed, but where there's weird jungle noises and a polar bear. What the fuck is going on over there? Helen
and Alex
will guide you through. If you've seen Lost 20 times,
or if you're brand new,
welcome to our show. It's
Dharma Fish Biscuits. Hello and welcome to Dharma Fish Biscuits, your new favourite Lost podcast.
We're your hosts, Helen and Alex. We're going episode by episode, spoiler-free, bringing you all the hot takes no one ever asked for.
You can find us on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod. You can email us on dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com. You can join our Patreon for free at patreon.com/dharmafishbiscuits, where we're posting inside information, little behind-the-scenes bits, and the spoiler-filled versions of our chats.
Instead of going beat by beat, we aim to focus our conversation on the character the episode centres around, then we'll circle back to what we missed.
This week, it's a Sawyer episode. Season 1, Episode 8, Confidence Man. I would like to get into it by beginning and saying I didn't enjoy this episode.
I really, 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 really hate the torture stuff. And because when you know it's coming, it's such an uncomfortable time leading up to it.
Well, the torture stuff is bad, but also I just find the whole asthma plot so tedious and stupid. None of it really makes any sense. It feels so convoluted and contrived to make it happen so that we can get to where we want to get between Sawyer, to learn what we learn about Sawyer, to get Saeed and his... Oh, I hate myself for doing this.
I think the thing that I like least about the asthma side of the story is the fact that, Sun solves it by finding eucalyptus. And I'm like, that's...
Yes.
That's kind of
doesn't make any sense.
Well, but it's just a bit of a joke for all the people who actually have asthma. It's like mocking them to not mocking them, but it's kind of rude to everyone who actually has asthma to be like, well, have you tried just rubbing eucalyptus on your body, because that actually has the same effect. It's I'm pretty sure inhalers contain medicine for a reason. But don't worry, we'll never hear another word about Shannon's asthma ever again, so Sun has solved it. Western medicine 0, Korean lady 1.
By the time we got to the end, I was like, wait, so they never do find the inhalers? They're just well, Sawyer didn't have them, so we simply don't know where those are, where they are. Thank God for the eucalyptus leaves.
Where do we begin? In a flashback. We begin in the flashbacks.
Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of the flashbacks either, but I guess they're some characters, I think, have interesting flashbacks that are quite layered, and both within their individual episodes and within subsequent episodes, we learn a bit more about them. To me, Sawyer's whole thing, the interesting thing about Sawyer, we really, to me, only learn on the island. It's when Kate reads the letter and we discover that Sawyer wrote the letter. The flashback stuff sort of exists just to make us think that he's the one the letter has been written to, and we think we're watching him con someone in a way that is going to lead to this kid becoming an orphan. And then it's oh, surprise, no, that was just Sawyer living his life. I don't know. I find it very tedious.
I don't find it so tedious. I feel like I think that the flashbacks do a good job of situating his character and his capability for manipulating people and kind of turning on the charm to get whatever outcome he wants to get.
Okay, well, we start the flashback. He's in bed with a lady. He leaps out of bed because she's like, haven't you got a meeting? He's like, oh, it's not till 3:30. And she's like, it's 3:30.
Yeah, just the first of many instances where I feel like he has this really perfect ability to let the victim of his con come to him. The con is always happening on his terms, but it seems like it's on the other person's terms, because if she's looking back on this moment and thinking like, whoa, what did I miss the signs, it would be like, no, but he wasn't even gonna leave for his meeting. I had to remind him. Like, there's so much about it that doesn't sort of make sense in that way.
Yeah. I agree. And this is like his whole thing, and he talks about this with the guy later on. He's like, you need to make them think it's their idea, which is all well and good, but like there are so many instances wherein this person wouldn't think it's their idea. Like, she might just be like, oh, you've got a lot of money. Never mind. Bye, off you. And like when he's like, take care of my money. I don't know.
Part of the thing is that he's good at reading people. He's good at like influencing them and manipulating them to give the response that he wants them to give. Like the same as how he gets up and leaves at the restaurant, because he knows that he's doing it at just the right time and in just the right circumstances to like invoke the response that he wants, which is TJ from Gilmore Girls going, say, wait, no.
Oh, I've never seen this man before in my life.
It's crazy if you know him from Gilmore Girls to see him in this role. It's like a real mindfuck.
Okay, so Sawyer explains this convoluted scheme. You buy some shares, the government triples it, blah, 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 lots of money. And the woman's like, what if I help you?
And he's like,
is exactly
what
he
if
wants.
you did the exact thing and said the exact thing that I was manipulating you into saying?
Also, he tells her to order a chocolate sundae, and when I get back, I'll use you as a dish. And I was just like, when you get back, the ice cream will have melted and it will not be appropriate to be eating.
Horrible.
Awful. So anyway, then he goes for lunch with her and her husband. And then, yeah, like you were saying, he does this whole like, oh, maybe I'm going to back out. Oh, I'm not so sure. And tries to walk away. And then the guy is like, no, come back.
There's something about the slicked back hair that is just like, it tells me that he knows how to kind of imitate and move between different like social classes and social situations in this really specific way. He knows how to dress well, and he knows how to like make himself look like the right kind of person for any environment. And I think it's kind of an interesting contrast to like, to what degree does he do that on the beach, and to what degree is he just like, well, fuck it, no rules here, like I don't have to do anything. We will of course see him wearing no clothes at all, which is also a way of adapting to your environment.
Indeed. So I know you said before that like he knows how to read people and knows how to get people to think it's their idea, but I'm like, it just feels so risky. And for Sawyer to give him this much money, surely there's a world in which this man just takes.
I think leaving the money with them was the cleverest move, the like smartest move that he made in the whole thing, because it really like shifts the perceived balance of power, that like, they cannot have any like reason for saying that they don't trust him, or that any argument that they might have to say that like he was shady immediately falls down because he did that. And at the same time, we know that the woman whose name I've forgotten, at the same time we know that she's not going to let her husband disappear with the money. She's going to be on Sawyer's side basically, because she wants this like thing to go through.
I don't know, if he's suddenly given her $100,000, obviously they're in a position where she's having an affair with him. I can totally believe that someone who might be having an affair with this guy is going to be like, actually, he's given us $100,000. I'd rather have $100,000 than have an affair, and run off with his money.
Yeah, but you haven't had sex with Sawyer, so.
Well, this is true. But also, I know you say, oh, it's just a balance of power, and there's like no way they would mistrust him because he's given them the money. But it's also like, when something is too good to be true, it probably is. And if someone's like, yeah, you just look after all of this huge sum of money, and that's totally
true.
fine by me, I would be like, there's a scam here somewhere.
That's fair. And you would be right. Yeah, I guess that's the flip side of it, is like, oh, this guy is willing to go to such great lengths to make us trust him. Why? But yeah. Fair.
Anyway, then there was this scene with the guy in the bar that I didn't understand why that was really there. I
think they needed like 4 flashbacks to fill out the episode, so that it would follow the same structure as all the other episodes. Yeah, that bit was that whole thing was sort of stupid, and it was just like, so now we established that the seed money, the 140,000 that he was contributing, isn't even his money; it's this other guy's money. And then it's like, wait, so why do you? So you have his money now? You've left his money there, and of course, what this means at the end of the episode, when Sawyer like just completely flakes out on the whole deal and walks away, is that he now owes this other random dude $140,000 that he absolutely didn't have to.
Sawyer goes back to their house, tells them they're in business, and they're like, hooray, we've got a deal. And Sawyer's like, hooray, you're being scammed. And then a kid walks in.
This like fucking ghost ass child. It's like they truly did not put any effort into the casting. They were like, well, he should probably be blonde so that Sawyer will be reminded of himself as a child, and that's about all the criteria that we have. Even his one line is like a voiceover, so I'm pretty sure.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they just found this kid and were like, this kid can't act for shit. Let's just have him stand there silently, and we'll ADR this business. Yeah, and so he's like crashes out on the whole deal because he's triggered and he's reminded of himself as a child, and so he just walks out, making his life significantly more difficult than it had to be.
And that is the end. And that's all we know about Sawyer.
That's just poor business sense, as I wrote at the end of my notes.
Helen the con woman gives her business advice.
Business queen.
Well, shall we go to the island?
Yep.
So we start on the island with Kate carrying a shit ton of bananas. Where have all of these bananas come from?
Generally,
obviously
didn't notice them, didn't clock them.
So many bananas over her shoulder.
Yeah, but it was just like it fits in on a desert island.
I guess, but we've never seen a banana tree. Anyway.
Wow. Alex's conspiracy theory of the week.
Yeah, then she sees all of this stuff. And she's like, ooh, what is this? And then it turns out it's just Sawyer's stuff. And he comes out. He's been skinny dipping, so he comes out with no clothes on.
Unconvincingly naked. Obviously, the camera is positioned so that we don't see his level of nakedness. But when he later like puts his pants on, he does such a terrible job of miming putting his pants on that the first time I watched it, I didn't even clock that he was supposed to have been naked. And I was like, why is she talking about him being naked? That we can clearly see he's wearing pants.
Well, she says, must be cold without your trunks. And I was like, is that a joke about his dick size?
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, I feel like mostly the line was there to signal to us that he was naked.
Yeah, probably.
But she's very like, she doesn't like avert her gaze, as he's walking out of the sea. She's not like embarrassed. She's sort of like, it feels like she's holding eye contact / checking him out a bit.
Yeah, it's certainly no Michael finding Sun topless.
Oh, thank God for that. We couldn't take another one of those scenes.
I don't even remember what they talk about. Some nonsense. Irrelevant. Sawyer goes stomping through the jungle. He just hears a noise, and it's Boone going through his stash.
Boone looks so young and so like different in that one scene when he gets like caught red-handed. He's like, his face is really flushed and he looks really like strange.
So it's funny because Sawyer calls him son. He's like, what are you doing, son? Or something. And I was like, son? They're not that different in age. And then it went to Boone and I was like, oh, I guess Boone does look really young, doesn't he? And yeah, so then next thing we are at the caves and Shannon is dragging Boone in when he's all bloodied up. And this is the beginning of the awful, awful asthma plot. Because Shannon is so cool, she simply cannot tell anyone that she has asthma. Like, what are we doing here? Are we really in an age where asthma is so uncool you have to pretend not to have it?
I think I actually bought that because I feel like Shannon is a person who's very concerned with other people's perception of her and her image. And like, yeah, having an asthma attack is a really like vulnerable, scary position to be in, and for other people to see you that way is quite sort of like exposing. So I would definitely buy that she as a character would not want people to think of her as someone who is asthmatic or
I don't know. I just thought I just thought it was so stupid.
I mean, if you see how she is later in the episode when she's like gasping for breath and like struggling, she's all like, she's pale and she's sweating and she's like, it's
Yeah, because she hasn't had her inhaler. So why would you then pretend that you don't need an inhaler? Surely you'd be like, oh, I'd rather have my inhaler and not
yeah, but
look
she
like that.
was using it. She said she was just like sneaking hits when she wasn't around people.
I guess. Okay, fine. Well, anyway, Boone tells Jack that he thinks Sawyer has her inhalers because, and it's because of the bloody Watership Down book where, oh, Sawyer was reading Watership Down and I had Watership Down in my bag. Therefore, Sawyer found my bag. Therefore, he's also got the inhalers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a logic to it, but I think one of the things that bothers me the most about this episode is that later when they have him tied to a tree and they're going to be doing their torturing, it was like a much easier way of accomplishing this goal would simply be to have someone watch him and make sure he doesn't escape, and then the other people just systematically go through all his loot and like maybe you know, I don't want to get into the whole like how should items be distributed larger question, you know, communist cave town or whatever. But there was an opportunity there that where someone who's like acquired a lot of stuff that isn't his and that he doesn't really have any right to own, they could have just gone and been like, okay, this is all stuff that is for the common good. We're going to take it.
Like, you don't have asthma. You don't need inhalers. We'll take
then
them.
They would have also found that there were no inhalers, and you know, then they could have maybe come to that conclusion like, oh yeah, maybe just because the book was there doesn't mean the inhalers were there. But I do have a point to make about Watership Down, which is that it makes so much more sense to me that Boone was the one who hacked Watership Down and was reading Watership Down as compared to Sawyer. I really think it's a book that would speak to him. He's a sensitive little soul.
Well, Jack goes through Sawyer's stuff to try and find the inhalers, and he asks where the girl's asthma medicine is. Once again, emphasizing the point that Jack simply refuses to know anyone's name.
That's a very good point. I didn't pick up on that. It's like, well, there's literally 3 women here, so the blonde one?
The blonde one who's not pregnant?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then Sawyer kicks off at him. And then Kate comes in and is like, whoa, leave him alone. And Jack and Kate go outside. I did enjoy Jack
Is that the scene where Sawyer kind of like taunts Jack to fight him or whatever, and then Jack's like, we're not savages yet, and then like 30 minutes later he's torturing people.
Because Jack says, I'm gonna kill him. And Kate says, that's not going to help us. And Jack says, maybe not, but it'll feel good. And that made me laugh.
It is great when Jack is a little bit funny because it doesn't happen very often.
But yeah, Kate's like, let me talk to Sawyer. I can talk to him.
I'm the Sawyer whisperer.
Well, he says we have a connection. And Jack's like, do you? Is he stealing my lady? And she suspiciously doesn't answer.
No, but she gives him a look that's like, come on, you don't need to worry about it. But the truth is, they have a connection, clearly. They have this extreme, like, sexual chemistry.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, they have a connection in that Sawyer will talk to her in a way that he, like, won't talk to other people.
That's true, I suppose. I suppose they do have that connection. I guess I've maybe been seeing it a little bit through the lens of, like, he's identified her as someone that he wants to shag. So,
well, yes, that too.
So like the connection is kind of just like, you know, he's a con man. He's like, oh, if I can make this woman think that I have some kind of like emotional, sensitive side, then maybe she'll shag me.
Anyway, Kate goes to talk to Sawyer. He says he'll trade the inhalers for a kiss, and that's when she says to him that he's trying too hard. And that, I think, was interesting, going back to one of the other episodes we talked about of like recognize game. And I think at that point we were talking about Sawyer like recognizing that Kate was also doing like lying about something or other.
Yeah, it was when she was pretending like, oh, I don't know how to use a gun, and like, I think you just pull the trigger. And he was like, yeah, I see what you're doing. Like, I see you.
Yeah, and it's interesting that now she's doing the same thing back to him and being like, I see what you're doing, but also you're doing this. You're doing too much.
Because I mean, I think what I thought about when she makes a comment to Sawyer of like, "You're disgusting." She doesn't oversell it. She says it like she really means it, and I think it's kind of like triggering for Sawyer, to have someone who he does feel that he has some kind of connection with, like dismiss him so out of hand and say that he's disgusting is it really seems to like wound him in a way that I think a lot of the rest of his actions over the course of the episode kind of stem from. I also thought when he said a kiss ought to do it, like wanting to trade the information for a kiss from her, I feel like he is also kind of toying with her in the sense of like he knows that she has this kind of flirtation thing going with Jack, and he knows that like the two of them do have quite a real chemistry and a real sort of like, you know, there's a vibe, and she's not willing to admit that it's there. So I feel like in a way him insisting on getting this kiss from her is also his way of just being like, I'm going to force you to acknowledge that the thing that you don't want to acknowledge is actually happening. And he also knows it will fuck with Jack, so that's like a nice cherry on top. Also, her freckles are really coming out. I know that he was calling her freckles before the freckles were super visible, but now they're really blooming.
I didn't even notice them in this episode, and I was still like, well, still calling her freckles, still no freckles on Evangeline Lilly's face, but I guess I just wasn't looking hard enough. So this is when she's telling him he's disgusting because she's like, we need you to help this woman who, I think she says she's dying. And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, eventually
probably going to get there, but I don't think she's actively dying. Anyway, then she's like, nobody is that disgusting, and I've seen you with that piece of paper. And she's like, I see that you have feelings when you read that letter. And that's when he makes her read the letter. To Mr. Sawyer,
You stole my daddy's money all away, and then my daddy got mad, and then he killed my mama, and then he killed himself.
Exactly. Just like that, in a beautiful southern twang. And I don't know, I guess, despite my dismissive nature earlier, I guess it's sort of fun that, like, we read that and we think it's addressed to Sawyer, and we think that we're, like, watching that happen in real time in the flashbacks. But then by
the first time you watch it, that definitely, I think you buy it.
So then we shift over a little bit. This was another scene that I really hated when Saeed is talking to Locke.
Oh, okay. I have this in another section of my notes, but yeah, really bothered me.
So they start talking about who attacked Saeed, and Saeed thinks it might be Locke.
Well, Saeed just like initiates the conversation by asking him for an alibi. He was like, "Where were you last night at this time, whatever?" And Locke's like, "Well, I don't have an alibi unless you want to ask the boar that I was skinning for our dinner." And it's so like, I'm sorry, but Locke is so dodgy in this whole scene. The way that he's like, well, I don't have an alibi, number one, but number two, have you considered it might be Sawyer?
Yeah, it felt so out of character.
Yeah,
for Locke.
It was crazy.
Like, there's this guy who, thus far, we have only seen him be really like zen and wise and like commune with the island and think about what we need, and like the way he treated Charlie with his addiction. For Locke to then suddenly be like, what about Sawyer, eh? And not even to just say, oh, maybe it's Sawyer. But then when Saeed is like, no, it can't be Sawyer because he helped with the rocket. For Locke to then be like, well, here's a reason why maybe the rocket wouldn't have stopped him, and maybe he'd have done this. And
it was such bullshit. It made me really angry because, like, first of all, Locke's logic goes like, well, so I know you were trying to like figure out the source of the distress call, so whoever wanted to put a stop to that is probably profiting in some way from us being on the island. And like, is Sawyer profiting just because he has his like collection of loot? Like, that doesn't mean it's actually benefiting him to be on the island rather than like
he's benefiting while they are on the island, but it doesn't mean that being on the island is better for him than being out off the island.
And then the way that he's just like, oh, well, you seem to have a bit of beef with Sawyer. And like you say, Sawyer actually has a genuine alibi, which Locke doesn't.
Yeah.
But Saeed is so quick to trust him and take him on faith. Like, it's almost like he does originally approach Locke and ask for his alibi. But then as soon as Locke says anything, he's just like, yeah, no, you're right. I should listen to you because you're like quite wise. And it bothered me so much. It was like not in character for either of them. And then
No.
Locke's stupid thing of like, oh, everyone knows how to time delay a fuse. You just use a cigarette, and that was like, okay, well, what? Like, huh? Use a cigarette to time delay a fuse for the amount of time that it would take Sawyer to travel from his position to Saeed's. But it doesn't even make any sense.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that and how far he had to cover. I did think it was sort of clever to be like, even if Locke had like spun it slightly differently, then like I do think the idea that you could use the cigarette to time delay the fuse is an interesting idea. And then I think that does point some suspicion at Sawyer, because Sawyer, I think, is the only one we've seen like regularly smoking on the island. But if Saeed had come to Locke to be like, how could this have happened? And they had like somehow realized that you could use a cigarette to time delay it, then I could see how that might make Saeed be like, oh, who could have used a cigarette? Oh, maybe it would have been Sawyer. But the way Locke framed it of everyone knows how you would time delay a fuse, I was like, I certainly wouldn't. And then he said about the cigarette, and I was like, I guess you could do that, but I would never have thought to do it.
It was all a bit too tidy, and then, like you say, the fact that he was like, of course you just use a cigarette, and that makes it, like, doubly putting the blame on Sawyer. And in a way, I guess Saeed wants to be convinced that it's possible, because he already has beef with Sawyer, and if he can avoid having beef with an additional person, then that's ideal. But yeah, it really, really rubbed me the wrong way, and I've really gone back and forth as to like why the scene is the way that it is, because on the one hand, you could watch that and say like, well, hang on a sec, Locke's whole deal was really dodgy there. So clearly he must have been the one who actually hit Saeed over the head, and now he's kind of covering his tracks. But I think if you were to just like do that analysis that we just did of it, that is what you would come away from it thinking, like, he's so suspicious, it must have been him. But I think actually the way that the show presents the scene, and the way that it kind of like the direction and the kind of the way that the episode builds after that is kind of giving us the opposite signal. It's telling us that like, oh yeah, Locke's sensible and wise and we should listen to him.
Yeah, I agree. And I hate to say it, but I think it probably is just like a failing of the show. This is another one of the things about this whole episode that make me be like, everything just feels a bit too
tidy
and too like, well, Shannon needs to have asthma so that we can be annoyed at Sawyer for having the inhalers, and then Saeed can be annoyed at Sawyer, and that's why we get Saeed doing the torturing, who needs to leave, and then why Sawyer, we find out all of this so that Kate can confront him and find out about his past, and blah, blah, blah. Get the characters where we want them to be.
I see what you mean now about the asthma thing. I think I kind of didn't really take your point on it before, but the fact that like, oh yeah, we've never heard or seen any sign of her having asthma, but now it's creates a story opportunity, so now she does. Yeah, I see that.
After this, we go back to the caves, and now Shannon has started wheezing. And this is when, like you mentioned, she starts sweating and looking pretty rough all round. So this time Jack asks Sawyer more forcefully for the inhalers, and he punches him to be like, where were they? We did get a nice little callback where Sawyer says, I've been telling you since day one, we're in the wild. And I was like, oh yeah, he did say that.
I remember that. You want to hear my really hot take for this scene?
Ooh, always.
In the year of our Lord 2025, I can't help thinking that a like chronically online first time viewer would watch this scene of Jack beating up Sawyer and immediately be like, I ship them. And actually I think there's a lot of homoerotic subtext in the whole interaction between Sawyer and Jack, and especially with like Kate involved as this like third point of the triangle, that Sawyer is very much like almost in a kind of masochistic pleasure way, sort of being like, he wants to be hit, he wants to be hurt, he wants to be the subject of Jack's violence, and he also kind of like wants to bring out that side in Jack also, I guess, to like bring him down to his level and show like, you think you're such a hero, but you're not better than anyone else.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do always find it quite interesting, and I guess it's like a sign of the period in which it was made, that for a show that, as we've talked about, is semi-progressive with its like racial casting, not a hint of homosexuality until quite late on, and it is merely a hint.
You're right. Why have I never thought about this?
It's an
I might have
incredibly
thought about it. I
heterosexual show.
Got to give myself some credit. I might have thought about it at some point in my life. But like, yeah, the diversity is seriously lacking. I mean, and I guess that's why, like, you know, as with any show where everyone is straight, like, it opens up for the fans to create their own, like, little headcanons. Like, I've been saying it all the time. I've been saying it since the start that Kate is a lesbian icon. It's just that the show doesn't know that about her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm even trying to think about people who are like gay coded or like queer coded. There's not much to go on.
Not at all.
If you could like change, let's say that like you're gonna go back in time and not change anything about Lost, but you do have the opportunity to make one character canonically queer, who would you choose?
Ooh, that is a great question. And I think it would probably, I think one of the female characters, I think Juliet would be quite fun, although I guess that would kill the big relationship.
I have a kind of quite a clear answer. It did not, even though this is the first time I've thought about this question. And I was just like, Sun? It should be Sun.
Yeah.
You can have a different answer. Juliet is legit.
It's hard because like because everyone is heterosexual and everyone gets in a relationship, then it's like, oh, if we made this character queer, what would that do to the relationship and how would that impact the story? Yeah, Juliet is like the one that instantly comes to me. Like, none of the men really strike me as being like,
I thought Charlie.
See, I think that, but then I'm like, Charlie and Claire together are so cute.
Yeah, but he could be bisexual. And I actually think maybe he should be. Like, it would kind of fit his character.
Yeah, that's true. I can also see Sawyer being someone who will
Bi-curious.
sleep with anyone. Bi-curious or just...
pansexual.
Yeah, pansexual. Sexually fluid.
I suppose so, although I think he's quite into his, like, masculinity, like, norms.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that would only happen in the year 2025, and I think in the year 2004, there is no way he would compromise his masculinity to be so fluid.
I guess Boone, as kind of like the classic pretty boy character, he could have actually, like, I mean, apart from what implications it might have for the story, he actually could have been gay.
Yeah, you could probably tell me he was gay and I would believe you.
Yeah. What happens next, Alex?
After Jack punches Sawyer, he looks around and like Sun and Jin and Boone and Shannon are all staring at him in horror. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess that's it. Also, I have to say, Sawyer, when he's like wet, and I don't know if it's like rain or sweat or just like bits of the
cave moisture,
river or all of the above, is looking a lot more attractive despite the blood on his face.
Despite or because of?
Yeah. I would say despite, personally. Not massively into blood, but you do you. So Jack goes to Shannon and once again hated all of this when he's like, oh, it's the anxiety that's making you worse. It's not just the asthma. And it's like, oh, Jack, I think you're wrong.
Jack. The thing is, the problem is he was canonically right. So, like... But it was very irritating. It would be like, it's the one thing you don't say to someone who's having like a psychosomatic illness is it's in your head. Just find a different way to phrase that to not sound quite so fucking patronizing.
Yeah, but I did laugh when Boone comes over and is like, she needs her inhaler, and Jack's like, Boone,
fucking give it a break, my guy. Like, you're making it worse. That was
Jack
quite funny.
does not want to hear his shit. But then somehow he magically calms her down, and I did have a little laugh at Hurley being like, wow, that was like a Jedi moment. But also it felt a little bit like the writers being like, well, Hurley is on this island and in this scene, I guess he should say something.
Guess he should reference Star Wars.
So then Saeed like follows Jack out, and this is when we have this awful, horrible scene where Saeed's like, We need to make him tell us.
I simply hate it. I simply hate it. I hate it. I hate all of the torture stuff, and I wish it wasn't there.
Also, when Saeed's like, can I do this? Is that a yes? I'm like, please, everyone, stop deferring to Jack's authority.
Stop deferring to Jack's authority challenge. Bum bum.
Also, I thought it was very funny when Jack was like, I thought you said you were a communications officer. And so it's like, part of the communication is torturing people to make them communicate with you. I mean, as someone who works in communications, I just found that quite funny. It's the idea of that, like,
how much torture have you done? How many reeds have you put under fingernails?
You know, legally I cannot divulge that information. But it was just a bit funny to be like, yes, I mean, that's not really what you do in communications, but sure.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, Jack, I'm actually Iraqi, therefore I have torture skills.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from an Arab country, so I'm inherently violent.
The show may be frozen in time. It's in early 2000 stasis. But we can still point out its crimes. And that shit was fucking racist.
Okay, so then we go back to the caves, and Michael is using some bit of metal from the plane to do something with a fish, and then flicks fish in his eye. I hated this. This was quite disgusting.
Oh yeah, Son gives Michael a full-on jump scare.
And in the wide open caves where everyone is around, she's like, shh, Michael, I must secretly talk to you in English in full view of everybody. Yeah, she just tells him that she thinks she can help Shannon, or the girl with the breathing, or whatever.
Shannon has not been doing the rounds socially on the island in the way that some other people have been. She hasn't been making the effort to, like, go and introduce herself and, like, make a good impression on Son, for example.
Yeah, then we, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, get to the torture scene. Saeed knocks him unconscious. Him and Jack carry him into the jungle.
Drag him, yeah.
They tie him up. A rare opportunity for Jack to play the good cop to Saeed's bad cop, where Jack's like, it doesn't have to be this way,
Sawyer. Be this way, man. You made this choice. Kate does make it a very half-hearted attempt to stop the torture when she sees them dragging his, like, unconscious body, and she's like,
yeah.
What are you doing? And it was just like, okay, but, you know, these are two guys, and there's, like, 46 people on the island. You could simply, like, recruit a bit more help and tell people, like, I think Saeed and Jack are about to go fucking off the deep end. Can I get some help to, like, stop this from happening? But no, because these are the main characters. No one else can be around when they're doing their business.
But Jack says to Sawyer, it doesn't have to be this way. And it's like, well, Saeed did tacitly ask your approval to do it, and he seems to think that you implied, yes, do it. So if anyone has the choice of whether it has to be this way, Jack, it's you.
No, Jack's on board with the torture. He's just saying that to Sawyer to be like, just tell us where the inhalers are, and then you won't have to be tortured. But this is the bit where I think Sawyer's like, oh no, I'm going to bring you down to my level, really, like, comes out in full force, where he's like, oh, you're saying you're going to torture me? Let's see how you can live with yourselves after that, because, like, you might think I'm a bad guy, but you can be just as bad.
That's really interesting, because I fully just accepted it on face value of what Kate says later on, that Sawyer's just like, I want everyone to hate me, and yeah, sure, you may as well beat me up because I am a piece of shit.
I think there's that in it as well. I think it's always relevant when we talk about the torture plotline to remember that this is coming, like, right on the back of the exposure of the torture that was happening in Abu Ghraib, and that being publicized was in, like, April 2004. So,
oh god,
torture and Americans, the United States of America's complicity in torture and use of torture, was, like, a very, very relevant and, like, hot button topic at the time. And I don't know if that's why it's so. I think maybe that's partly why it's so kind of, like, heavily involved in this episode as, like, a crucial plot element. It was just something that people were talking a lot about and thinking a lot about and debating in terms of its ethics or lack thereof, and efficiency and lack thereof, and I think that's just really important context to bear in mind.
We're halfway through the podcast. We talk a lot, we know. Why not take this time to write a review? It helps more people find the show. Or pop us a little email, or simply tell a friend. We're gonna need some listeners if we're to make it from the pilot to the end.
So, in amongst all this torture, unfortunately, we do have 3 people in this scene, Helen. So to cheer ourselves up amidst all this despair and horrible torture,
Anguish.
what should we do with these 3 people?
I guess we'll fuck, marry, and kill them.
3 characters in a scene. You know what that means. It's time for fuck, marry, or kill. Fuck, marry, or kill.
Alright, I feel like this is harder than it looks, but I haven't really thought about it yet.
Are we thinking about them?
We have to answer as per their character in, like, at this point in the show.
Right. Okay, that was my question. Because if I'm in a vacuum, it's quite easy. If I've got a man tied up being tortured, a man doing some torturing, and a man being like, well, sorry about the torturing, it simply
I'm
must
not
happen.
delighted about the torturing, but on the other hand...
Then I do think there's some quite easy placements for me in that. And I guess actually, I think either way, I think I'm fucking Sawyer.
You know, I always love to marry Said, but I simply cannot marry Said because he's actively torturing Sawyer.
Yeah, this is the thing, is it in that scene it would be fuck Sawyer, marry Jack, I guess, kill Said. But I don't know whether Said's torture overrides the good things we've seen in the previous 7 episodes.
It does, in the sense that I won't be marrying him. I might fuck him, but then on the other hand...
I couldn't marry a torturer, but give me one night in bed with him.
Well, because I don't know. Do I want to shag Said? Because if you think about it in the context of like the whole episode, by the end he's like reckoning with himself and realizing that he needs to like leave the group because he's like disgraced himself so completely. So it's like, yes, he did the torturing, but also he has like
but he feels bad about it.
But he does feel bad about it. So maybe a shag. And then I could also kill Jack, which I love to do. So I'm really thinking about this one. I think it is. Am I going to be marrying Sawyer? I mean, he would not like me. I think that's one of the main
awful husband material
objections that I have. Is like I'd prefer to be married to someone who would be nice to me. But I cannot marry Jack. That is simply... I obviously can't marry Said because he's doing torturing. So I will have to marry Sawyer. Unfortunately. It's not great, but it's fine. And then, yeah, I'm going to... Fuck it. I'm going to fuck Said and kill Jack. Peace.
Great. I'm sticking with what I had originally. I'm fucking Sawyer. Marry Jack. Kill Said.
Okay.
Apologies. So eventually, Sawyer does say that he finally relents and says, I'll tell Kate.
Yeah, I'll tell you where they are, but I'll only tell her. And of course, her is Kate, because, yeah.
Because there's 4 women on the island, one of whom currently can't breathe, and one can't speak English. And Claire's busy having a very pleasant subplot on the beach.
I mean, as far as these 3 dudes in particular are concerned, Kate is the only woman of any note.
Yeah.
So.
It's no wonder Jack doesn't need to know anyone's name, isn't it? So Kate comes in, and like Sawyer does look so pathetic. And I would say like quite sorry for himself when he's like, I'm tied to a tree in the jungle of mystery. I'm being tortured by an Iraqi.
I can't believe you said the iconic line and you did such a throwaway job of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like, I don't think it was like feeling sorry for himself. It was like a sort of like exasperated kind of like, baby, I'm tied to a tree in a jungle of mystery. Like, things really can't get any worse.
That's fascinating. You are putting much more of a positive spin on it than I got from what he actually said. I really thought he was like, oh, well. And I'm like reading this through the lens and taking it at face value of Kate being like, you want everyone to hate you. You want everyone to think you're a piece of shit. And that is very much how I read this, that he is like, yeah, sure, I am as low as I can possibly go right now, so why the hell not would I want to get a kiss from you?
Okay.
They do a little kiss.
I have to. I'm really sorry, but I have to go on a tangent here because she's being put in this position where it's like what she wants to say to him is, how can you do this? How can you let Shannon's like health and safety be put in danger when all you have to do is tell us where the inhalers are? Like, and his kind of counter to that is like, I mean, he doesn't say this explicitly, but implicitly, given that he's trying to like negotiate for the kiss, it's like, well, you could just give me a kiss. You have the power to solve this problem. If you really feel that sorry for Shannon, then all you have to do is kiss me. And it reminded me of something that like really I look back on with absolute despair, which is that like when I was a teenager and some of my friends at that age were like religious Christians, opposed on that basis to having sex before marriage. And in our like friendship group, some of the boys had this like recurring joke slash game thing that they would do, which would be like, oh, let's say there was someone was going to murder 100 babies, and all you had to do in order for all the 100 babies to survive is like, you just have to have sex one time. Would you still not do it? And like
That is such a teenage boy thing to say.
it's just so wretched. And like basically Sawyer's like negotiating over the kiss was literally just like, why won't you save 100 babies by having sex? But like in a different context and a different scale. Oh, it just made me mad all over again thinking about it.
Well, the good news is Kate does kiss him. Kate does save the 100 babies and Shannon.
And you know what? It's a hot kiss. She goes in multiple times. This is not like all right, I'll kiss you because I have to save the 100 babies. This is like, well, we're here, blah blah.
Oh, and then we find out he doesn't have the inhalers.
This fucking guy, I swear to God.
Just a big joke.
No, it's extreme. I mean, you can kind of see it coming, I guess, when he's just like, I don't have them. Like, literally, I just got tortured for the lols.
Yeah. So anyway, Kate finds Jack and Saeed because they are the cops of the island, and she has to tell them that, oh, he doesn't have the inhalers. Saeed insists that Sawyer is lying and says that this doesn't make any sense because he's like, he doesn't even want to get off the island. And I'm like, how are these things remotely related?
I know. And it's like Saeed is just like boiling over with this pent up anger. And he's like, he was the one who hit me. It's like, babe, like, that doesn't even make sense. That was just Locke saying that. Unfortunately, at this point, I have to make a statement that just simply, Saeed, not my president. The title of my president is revoked from Saeed. Saeed attacks Sawyer with a knife that Locke gave him, which is lol. I mean, it's just stupid.
It's all stupid. How did Sawyer like magically undoes himself and frees himself?
Oh yeah, that too.
And like, oh, how convenient that you only did that when you needed to wrestle and not when like there was torturing happening. And I'm pretty sure that alongside, if Saeed has been taught to torture people, he's probably taught how to
you can probably tie
them up in a way that they're not going to go.
I would think so.
Yeah, Saeed stabs Sawyer in the arm, right in the, I don't know what bicep, tricep, big muscly bit of your arm,
big arm bit,
the arm bit.
Yeah, and it's funny because he obviously like he attacks him, he comes at him with a knife, he stabs him in the arm, and then he's immediately like, shouldn't have done that. Deeply regretting this. And suddenly he's all like on board trying to help Jack save his life. he runs off to fetch Jack's rucksack, for Jack to be the hero, save him. And Sawyer literally says to Jack, "If the tables were turned, I'd watch you die." I was like, Jesus Christ, my guy. Like, this, like, masochism is out of control.
But there is quite a nice, like, really quick scene when Saeed goes back to the caves and Boone's there, and Boone's like, "Whose blood is that?" And Saeed says, "Sawyer," and walks away. And Boone, being Boone, is like, "You went after him? You didn't tell me?" Because he wants to be involved. But then Shannon is like, "Boone, don't leave me alone." And he goes back to her, and I think it's actually quite cute. And for all that we're saying about, like, Boone always wants to be helpful, he always wants to be in the action and be useful to people, when Shannon is like, "I want you here with me," he's like, "Okay, never mind, can't do vengeance right now, need to take care of my sister," and goes back to her.
Yeah, I
So,
think it's
yay,
very significant that in this episode, their relationship as brother and sister is really cemented. Like, Boone
Yeah.
goes hard on the, like, she's my sister, I need to protect her kind of angle. And no spoilers, but yeah.
It's literally no spoilers. No spoilers, but yeah. Sun brings this plant to Michael, and then Jin sees them and starts shouting at her. And
I
good
thought
for
it
Sun,
was
she
so
just
funny.
leaves.
I thought it was so funny when, like, Jin is fucking yelling his head off and like getting all aggy with Michael, and Michael is just like, "Don't, man, just don't." Like, he's like, "We've been through this. We don't need to do this again. Like, let's just leave it." Yeah. And Jin, God bless him, leaves it.
Well, back on the beach, Sawyer wakes up. Kate tells him he's lucky to be alive, and this is when we, like, get the big revelation of Sawyer's backstory and Sawyer's letter.
Yeah, Kate says to him, "Your name's not Sawyer, is it? All right, Annie."
Detective Kate on the case when she is like, "I looked at this letter, I looked at the stamp, I looked at whatever fucking
America's
celebration this was about."
bicentennial, was it? You were but 10 years old.
And yeah, there is, like, I mean, she's right, but also quite a lot of leaps going on there. Like, this stamp came from this year, therefore it simply must have been posted in this year, therefore you must have been this age, therefore you must have written this letter.
You made it sound like a lot more steps of logic than it actually was. I think she was just like, stamp equals date equals you age equals you child in letter. And Sawyer's like, "Yeah, I am become what I despise, so deal with it."
Yeah, I actually really liked this, sort of, like, tied into something we've talked about before that the show hints at, of this, like, circular narrative, and we have, like, hints and theories about time loops and things of him saying, like, "I became the man I was hunting." I'm like, oh, that's almost sort of poignant. And I was, like, trying to connect that somehow to what's happening with Saeed, of, like, becoming something you hate, but I didn't quite get there. I don't know if you want to pick those threads up and do anything more with them, or
Well,
if
no,
it's...
it's an interesting connection. I guess, like, for Saeed, it's about, like, that he has been that person and he promised himself he would never do that again. And it's like, he doesn't want to regress into, like, using these skills that he has, even though he, in this case, he thought he could, like, do some good with them. That it's like the price that he pays is not a price that's worth paying for his own sort of, like, peace of mind and, being able to live with himself and his conscience and things. Whereas I
Yeah.
guess Sawyer's is more like a sort of, I started out wanting vengeance on this guy. Along the way, I turned into the guy.
Turned into him.
And the fact that he takes his name, I think, is such an interesting detail, because it shows a level of, like, introspection and self-reflection, to the point where he's like, not only did I turn into the guy, I also was like, seems I've turned into this guy, I will take his name. Like, there's a really an active decision part of it, that you kind of can't get away from, given the fact that he has chosen to take that name and use it.
Oh, he also says, don't you feel sorry for me," which I think, again, ties into what Kate is saying, of, like, he wants to be hated.
He'd rather be
whether,
hated
like,
than pitied, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, just to wrap up the whole thing, son is rubbing some eucalyptus on Shannon's chest, and suddenly she can breathe again. And Jack's like, "Oh, eucalyptus! Why didn't I think of that?"
And asthma was solved forever.
Boone and Shannon have this really cute little bit. He gives her some water, she takes the water, and they smile at each other. And I think this might be like the first time we really see them like connect. And I guess maybe this is because he has been like looking after her, and up till now she's been fine and just been like, stop being annoying. And now
his annoyingness was actually helpful.
Now he's actually been helpful, and she has been suffering, and he's been the one who has like helped her, which maybe we'll see more of that sort of dynamic as it goes on, that he has to step up when she has issues.
I mean, he's referred to it previously and saying like, she always does this, she's always creating problems for her family, and we have to show up and save the day. Or he said something along those lines, I can't remember.
Yeah. And then like we end the episode with Sawyer reading over the letter again. He's gonna set fire to it. And then he doesn't. And that's that on that. Our one real subplot of the episode. Shall we go to our subplot?
Let's do it.
Charlie and Claire.
And peanut butter baby.
Charlie brings Claire some water to start with. So they start having this conversation where basically, because Charlie has moved to the cave and he wants Claire to come to the cave, and she says she wants to stay on the beach when they get rescued.
And Charlie's like, I hear what you're saying and how you have an opinion of your own and valid reasons for it, but actually, what if you just did what I wanted?
Yeah, but also he's working with the knowledge of the French distress call, which they famously made the choice not to tell anyone about. So he and very few other people know that somewhere on the island a distress call was made and they've assumed wasn't answered. Again, I still think there's a chance the distress call was answered and they just didn't turn it off. But they're working under the assumption that the distress call's been going for 16 years. Charlie knows that, so when she's like, "Oh yeah, I want to be here when we get rescued," and Charlie's like wistfully staring off in the distance, being like,
yikes.
"Well, rescue's not coming, so come to the cave."
Yeah, I think there's also like a pretty valid argument that he could make on the basis of like, I mean, he does say like it's really hot here and like not good for the baby. Like the caves is a much more, temperate environment, or maybe that's the wrong word, but like much milder sort of climate. And
there's shade, there's fresh water, there's a doctor.
Yeah, so he does have a point, but I also was a little bit like, you're just not happy until you've gotten her to do what you want, and you're gonna like do, I mean, this whole peanut butter thing, I know people love it, people think it's really cute, I think it's stupid, but
I think the concept of the peanut butter is stupid, but their relationship of the two of them are so incredibly cute, and the way they like smile and giggle at each other. Also, Charlie is looking remarkably well, considering in the time frame of this show, it was merely yesterday that he was sweaty and withdrawing from heroin.
No, but you know that's how heroin withdrawal works, right? It's like
you're just very really sweaty for a day,
you're really
and then you're
sweaty and have like a headache for like a day, and then you're fine.
Yeah. So yeah, we catch up with them a bit later. They're talking about what they're missing from home, including fluffy towels and banoffee pie.
Yeah, Charlie's a big dessert guy, it turns out.
He is a big dessert guy. Je suis Charlie, you might say.
Je suis Charlie. Malheureusement, it means unfortunately. Le sigh.
This is when they decide that if he can find some peanut butter for her, she'll move to the caves. And he says, vacate this sandy shore of depression, which I thought was a beautiful turn of phrase.
That's a good Charlieism, yeah.
And this is why, like, although I get what you're saying of like, oh, Charlie just wants her to do what he wants her to do. But at least they like reach a compromise. And she's like, if you find peanut butter, then absolutely, I'll do it. I'm like, great. It doesn't quite work out that way, but
she's the only Australian who likes peanut butter.
I think that's factually inaccurate.
Yeah, famously, Australians since 2004 have been like, why did they put this line in? It doesn't make any... What? We eat peanut butter. Like, Stop slandering the nation of Australia.
Anyway, this leads Charlie to go on his little hunt for peanut butter.
Oh, the scene with Hurley.
I thought this scene was quite cute, and
Yeah,
I obviously felt sad for Hurley.
I think I felt the same. Like, ultimately, it was a moment that, like, brought them closer together and strengthened their friendship, even though it started off as Charlie just being like, you're fat, so clearly you're still eating, so where's the peanut butter? Like,
Yeah. But I like the fact that, like you say, it strengthened the relationship because Charlie immediately is like, oh, I'm sorry, that was bad. And I like the fact that Hurley wasn't like, oh, don't worry about it. He was like, I'm sorry, that was bad. And Hurley's like, yeah.
I'm used to it. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's like, you're correct. It was.
Yeah, no,
was a
it was.
bad
I
thing
think
to
you're
say.
right. The reason why it works as a scene is Charlie is kind of speaking a bit thoughtlessly. Hurley calls him out. Charlie unreservedly apologizes and completely admits that, like, that was really poor form. I shouldn't have said that. And then, like, Hurley also is not going to hold a grudge about it. He's just like, yeah, used to this fucking bullshit. And I love how he says, like, I've gone down a notch on my
Gone down a couple
belt
belt
buckle, whatever it
sizes.
is. And,
Yeah.
like, I'm a big guy. It's going to take a while before you start to see.
Before you want to give me a piggyback.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, I fucking love Hurley, obviously. And there is something very endearing in the way that the show just simply allows him to continue being himself as the story on the island progresses. We don't ever really, I mean, it might come up like one more time, but I think generally we kind of drop this idea that, like, there has to be an explanation for why Hurley's so fat even though all the food is run out. It's just like, he's just still gonna be here as himself. No one else's body is, like, significantly physically changing.
Yeah, exactly. I also think, like, the reason he gives of being like, I've gone down a little bit, but, like, you're not immediately gonna notice that I'm suddenly incredibly thin, because that's just not how science works. So anyway, he's like, Soz, no peanuts, no peanut butter, no peanuts, no nothing. Which is also interesting to be like it's sort of, although within this subplot of the peanut butter, it means there is none. But also it signals to us that now we're like a week and a bit into the plane crash, into their island life, and the plain food is gone now. It is solely for vegetables,
for breakfast,
like
or for lunch, and for
bananas. Kate's got a lot of bananas.
Oh yeah, she's got the bananas. They've got fish.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, we're away from, like, surviving on rations and leftover food now. We are indeed in the wild, baby. So then Charlie comes back and he starts, maybe a little bit too forward, starts just taking her clothes off the laundry line and packing all of her things up, and while she's asleep, and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, you even to the cave. And this is where we get the infamous peanut butter, where he's like, yeah, I got you some peanut butter.
It's an iconic scene, yeah.
The empty jar. And I do quite like, it is cute when she's like, it's empty. He's like, no, it's full to the brim. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
It's an iconic scene. It is very cute, and I do appreciate their little, like, burgeoning relationship. My one great objection, and I know that there are many who share this with me, is just, before you did this, Charlie, you simply could have washed your hands. Like, his grimy fingers. There's, like, God, the dirt that is, like, so, like, crusted into his fingers.
Awful.
As he, like, puts his finger around the empty jar and miming it, and then, like, fully puts it in his mouth and licks it. And I was just like, I hate it. It's like, oh, it's so grim. And, like, she is way more turned on by this than she has any right to be.
I don't know if she's turned on by it. I think she just thinks it's very wholesome, very cute.
I think there's a little twinkle in her eye. Yeah. Oh, I do have one more note about Claire and Charlie as they're on their way to the caves. They're like gaily skipping hand in hand past the mass grave that is the plane fuselage where all the corpses were incinerated.
Well, we don't need to think about those anymore. They're all in the past.
So grim.
Okay, So the only real that is basically the entire episode. The only miscellaneous thing I really have is the last scene where
Saeed, at the
is
end, he
leaving.
comes up to Kate and he's like, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Also, he kisses her hand, and I was like, this feels very weird.
We've talked about this a bunch, that like the show has been really sort of like back and forth on whether it wants Saeed to be part of the love triangle, thus making it a love square, where there are three men who are all interested in Kate. They have given us a few other indicators of it previously.
I would like push back on you about that. I don't think they are trying. I don't think this kissing on the hand is to like remind us that he might be part of this triangle square, because like given the extent to which we have just seen Kate and Sawyer kiss and the amount of tongue involved, him simply taking her hand and giving her a little peck on the hand feels like a whole other league.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the show is kind of positing him as like, oh, will she go for Saeed? But it's the way in which they're positioning him as being like another suitor for her hand, where
Fair
like
enough.
he is behaving in such a way that like he seems to be attracted to her and interested in her. When I would appreciate their relationship so much more if they could make it a little bit cleaner and a little bit more like, these are two people who really respect each other, who see like the competencies that each other is bringing to the table, who like listen to each other and want to take advice from each other and counsel each other. And like the fact that it turns into this kind of very much dominated by their respective gender, status and like their heterosexuality overall is just quite disappointing. I also felt that Saeed leaving at this point was strange. Like I had forgotten that it was going to happen, and when it came I was like, this feels really like structurally uneven, in the sense of like we're still quite early in the first season, and one of the main characters who there's only a limited number of people that we've spent enough time with to really establish them and their characters and get to know them, and Saeed is one of them, and he's just like, bye, I'm leaving. It felt like really strange from a structural and like story point of view.
I think it's framed quite weirdly, because like had Saeed said, I'm gonna go so sorry to do this to you yet again, but in Yellow Jackets they have characters
Play
who
the
want
jingle.
Alex talks about Yellow Jackets, a show I've never seen.
They have characters who want to like map out the forest and see where they are, so they go out a little bit, draw like a section of map of where they go in a day, and then come back and put it all together, and like on the wall they piece together all the area they go to. And if Saeed says he was doing something like that, I think that would make a bit more sense of like, I'm gonna explore a bit and come back and like recon. The fact he frames it as like, I'm just leaving,
I will walk the length of the island. I had quite a few problems with this scene. Partly the way that he's like, someone has to map the island, and who better to do it than the only person I trust. I was like, you literally are exiling yourself because you couldn't like keep yourself from torturing. Why are you the only person you trust? You seem like maybe not
correct.
among the most trust. I mean, there are other people here who are like super trustworthy compared to you, the guy who just did torturing. Like, I don't know. I thought it was clumsy and clunky, and yeah, the idea that he's like, I'm going to take off and just walk around the whole island. It's like, my dude, you have absolutely no way to even like estimate how big you think it is. I guess they have been to a very high point, so he would have been able to kind of like look around and get some sort of sense of how far can I see from this point. Maybe he could see, I don't know, maybe he could see the coastline of the whole thing. We didn't see that in that case, but it's not unbelievable, I suppose.
Not outside the realm's possibility. Also, he doesn't have like a compass or anything. I'd maybe
seems like you would need that for making a map, but he probably has stuff in his backpack. But yeah, I mean, also like, isn't cartography like quite a specific skill that like, just because you've been a communications officer in the Republican Guard, you might not necessarily have learned?
Well, maybe they learned that after the torture session, Helen.
Mondays,
famously multi-talented communications
Tuesdays,
officers.
Cartography. It was, yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I didn't buy it, I guess, is the ultimate conclusion. Like, I didn't feel like it felt at all satisfying or really believable or sort of like, and it's just like, I get that you want to exile yourself from the group because of your conscience. That part of it I totally buy, and I think that's like a valid storyline. I think it actually, in a sense, might have worked better if he had taken himself off to, like, I don't know, a different cave or like a different point in the forest and just been like, I must live here alone to atone for my sins. And then like 3 days later be like, I'm done.
Yeah. Just go sit with Rose, wherever Rose is. She was sitting in silence to think about her husband. sit in silence with her for a bit. Yeah. Well, that's the episode, I think.
Let me run through some of my little things that I keep an eye on. This episode did not pass the Bechdel test. At no point did it have any risk of even approaching passing the Bechdel test. Jack has a new grey t-shirt. And Sawyer has a new blue t-shirt. I have to say, I think this like fashion watch is not really like paying off that much, so I'm gonna stop doing it.
Shall we go to Connor's Corner? We don't have an awful lot here,
Okay.
and it is all complaining because Connor hated this episode with a fiery, burning passion.
Bring it on.
If you want aviation or medical information, welcome to Connor's Corner.
He hated the entire asthma thing. Curing asthma by rubbing eucalyptus on her does not work. Asthma apparently is a problem usually with breathing out, and so Jack making her breathe in and hold her breath is not going to help with an asthma attack, because the issue with asthma is that you can't breathe out properly. And also when Sawyer gets stabbed in the arm and they mention him being hit in the artery, I think.
Yeah.
A brachial artery would bleed out in 2 to 5 minutes, and then Sawyer would be dead.
So in Connor's like parallel universe version of Lost, Sawyer's fully just dead. I mean, everyone's a paste, but if they weren't,
everyone's a paste, and Sawyer is doubly dead. So yeah, the asthma was not medically accurate. The eucalyptus was not medically accurate. Sawyer's arm wound was not medically accurate. Anyway, yeah, that is all of Connor's Corner, I'm afraid. I hope Connor's Corner will continue, and he will actually allow us to continue watching. Everyone, listeners, if you enjoy Connor's Corner, send us an email and tell us so I can emotionally blackmail him to continue being a part of the podcast.
Should we go to the hot ranking?
Let's go to the hot ranking.
Hot can be physical, hot can be emotional. Hot is whatever we decide, and everyone's attractive, but who's top of the ranking? Who's the hottest one on this island?
Would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm going in with a controversial choice. You might have seen it coming.
Wait. No, I don't think I can see anything coming.
Sawyer, baby.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, obviously like he's not great in terms of his behavior, in terms of the kind of withholding the information about the inhalers. I'm not on his side on that. I am on his side in that he's a victim of torture, so it kind of evens out. And I just think that like between the like supposedly skinny dipping, the like I'm tied to a tree in a jungle of mystery, the very sexually charged kiss that he has with Kate. Yeah, I just felt like, you know, Sawyer is hot and he deserves to be on the hot ranking, and you know, I'm feeling extra sympathetic to him today, so he's getting promoted. Okay,
great. I'll accept that. Mine is going to Boone, I think.
Oh, interesting.
As previously discussed, I do think he's a very attractive man, Ian Somerhalder, and also he did a good job with Shannon this week. And he always wants to be helpful. I think he actually was helpful and kind and supportive to her. And he also didn't let his like want for vengeance and being helpful override his support for her. When he was like, "Oh, you went after Sawyer, I'm going to help you." When she's like, "Please don't leave me," he's like, "Okay, never mind. You do the vengeance, Saeed. I sit here and hug my sister."
Okay, so here's the deal. Boone is currently rock bottom of the hot ranking, and Sawyer is like third from bottom. how much are we going to move them up? So, like, Boone, does he get promoted to being just above Shannon?
Yeah, I think just above Shannon seems fair for Boone. And Sawyer, how far up do we put Sawyer?
I mean, he can go in between if you want, so he's lower than Boone.
Sawyer was previously higher than Boone,
That
so
is
I think
true.
I would put
That is true.
put Sawyer above Boone.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so the list, if I'm reading this correctly, it goes Sun, Charlie, Saeed. I simply cannot believe Charlie is there. I will do everything in my power to change this.
I'm quite surprised. I can't remember. I don't remember what wizardry we did to shoot him up to the top of the list. That seems quite insane.
Ridiculous. Okay, we have Sun, Charlie, Saeed, Kate, Claire, Sawyer, Boone, Shannon, Michael. Yeah, all right.
I think I'm feeling quite good about that.
Feel fine about that.
Okay. And that's the end of our episode.
All right. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod. Send us an email. We wish to receive your email. You can email us at dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com. We also have a Patreon where you can find such delights and wonders as the spoilery version of the episode.
Woo. You can also leave us a review, and we would really love that. We would love it to be 5 stars. We'll take 4 stars, because that's still fine. Our next episode is going to be out in 2 weeks. We'll be talking about Season 1, Episode 9, Solitary. This has been Dharma Fish Biscuits, and I'll see you in another life, Helen.
I'll see you in another life, brother.